What's going on, everybody? It is Cam here with Easy Work Acres, and today we're actually going to be doing some indoor work, and we're going to turn this boring, very large wasted space next to our fireplace to actually have a really nice indoor firewood storage area like this, so that it is just a lot nicer, a lot easier in having some ready available wood that'll last us all day long, maybe a day and a half before having to restock. So that is why we're kind of jumping into this project. We wanted to eat up that empty space next to our fireplace that's not being used and be able to have a good amount of firewood ready to go all throughout the winter and keep it stocked up and also looking nice as well. All right, so first off, I'm just gonna be putting in some baseboards against our baseboards just to give a little bit more of a lip in order to start mounting the baseboards on, because otherwise I just have a very small lip, being only able to tack it to the trim. So just doubling this up, and that'll allow me to have a complete box that I'm going to be putting the base wood onto. All right, so I got all this tacked together here, and these that are gonna go on top are 2x10s. And basically I'm gonna be cutting off a 1/4 inch off of each side to make them a little bit smaller, so it'll be like 9 3/4 or so, which should give me a good lip overhang off the base here. And these are pretty sturdy, so I'm not worried about having like big, huge blocks under here, and I'm actually probably gonna put insulation in here so that when I drop wood on there, it doesn't have this big hollowing sound to it whenever I put wood in it. So when I rip the 1/4 inch off, that's actually gonna give this like rounded edge a nice flat, very smooth edge. And those will butt together nice and tight, as well as make it look a lot nicer, a more finished look versus just some rough cut lumber. And just to give you a look at what I mean here, you can see this rounded edge of this like one from the store, and then this is one that I cut, and it's got a nice, very squared off edge to these two pieces, and they'll butt together tighter. It's not going to be seamless, but it's going to make them butt together a lot tighter, and then that'll give me the squared off look that I want that goes with pretty much the whole rest of my house, which is very squared angles like this. So I have my guard set super close to the blade, so to the outside of the blade to the guard is a 1/4 inch, and that should knock the width of the board down to where it is the size that I want it to be, which is 8 3/4 a piece, so that this hangs out just around 26 inches or so, maybe just under 26 inches, when all three of these are butted together. And then I'll have that nice overhang off my 2-foot depth on the actual shelf itself. So if you didn't know, a 2x10 is actually 9 1/4. So taking off a 1/4 off of each side will knock it down to that 8 3/4. All right, next thing I'm gonna be doing here is giving a light sand over with my sander here, and mainly just to take like these ribs out some. I don't need it to be perfectly paper smooth. I would just like some of the blade edge out of it, if there's any blade edge on some parts. There's some rough patches, you know, they get beat up in the store, so just making them a little bit nicer. But I'm not worried about them being perfectly smooth because they're gonna have logs thrown on top of them all the time. All right, so all these boards are sanded. Next, I'm gonna be staining all these with a first coat. I'm gonna do 2 coats on here. We've stained other stuff in our house with the same exact color, and we like 2 coats. And it is the golden oak is the color that we're using here. And basically, I only need to stain like the top and just these sides. The ends will not be showing at all anyways. I'm still gonna stain them, but they won't be showing. And the opposite side won't be showing. Now, when I'm doing my top shelf, I will do top and bottom because they could potentially be seen. And then all these 1x's here, none of the ends will be showing on these. They're gonna be capped off for a more finished look. So I'm actually going to stain those before I even start cutting on them, just to go ahead and get all the coats done about the same time so I can just start moving forward once everything is done. All right, I'm gonna be applying this stain with a rag. This is just like a microfiber rag or whatever. Some people prefer using brushes and stuff. I haven't had as much luck with it, so a rag application is how I'm gonna be doing this. And if you've never stained anything before, it's about as easy as it gets. Like literally, you can be as sloppy with it as you want to. Get some stain on there, start rubbing it in. Super easy, super simple. And then each layer you put on is usually how you're gonna make it darker and darker. So your first coat typically is gonna be pretty light because it's gonna soak it in. And then from there, you just keep adding more coats on there every couple of hours for however dark you want the wood to be. Oh, now that's something to pay attention to. When you are staining things, it'll run down the side, which obviously is fine because that's what I'm staining all sides of this. But if you don't go ahead and start like rubbing down the sides as you go, you'll get drips, some heavy drips down them. And last thing you want is like this nice finished looking wood with a nice stain, and then the edges got drips running down them. So if you can, try and make sure you stay on top of hitting all sides as you go so that you don't have this heavy bead running down the side here. All right, so we have everything stained. It's looking good. We got 2 coats of stain on this already. I'm gonna go ahead and start putting things together. Sadly, I'm gonna have to go back out for more 2x10s because I shorted myself. I should have got 12 footers instead of 10 footers because now I'm like 1 or 2 inches shy from using the other half of this board as my top shelf. So that really sucks. I wish I would have realized that before I cut these daggone things, or I would have took them back and got 12s instead. But we're gonna go ahead and start putting this thing together. Once we get most of it the rest of the way up, I'll take a final look over on if there's anything else that I need to get besides another couple of 2x10s, and then we'll go from there. But these are looking good with those 2 coats of stain on them, and I'm pretty happy with it. All right, so before I put the base boards down on top of this, like this kick plate and everything that I'm doing here, we have a whole lot of this like insulation left over. This is that cellulose type of stuff. Actually, this is rock wool is what this is. But we have a bunch of pieces left over. We bagged them up because we figured we'd end up using them somewhere down the road. And I can use them right here. And all I'm doing this for is essentially to knock down the loud sounds of when you're throwing the wood in there. It's sounding like just a hollow, cheap sounding box when you're throwing stuff in there. So hopefully that'll knock some of the sound down. Maybe it won't, but it's worth a shot. We have this extra insulation, so we're gonna throw it in there anyways. All right, just a closer look. It's kind of layered in there. Not anything too perfect or anything, but basically just filling the empty airspace. And this rock wool stuff is rated for soundproofing. It is in this wall right here, and that is our bedroom on the other side of the wall. And it's great because obviously our great room is kind of echoey, so it really helps with sound going into our bedroom from the great room if somebody's in here watching TV and somebody else trying to sleep or something like that. So hopefully that'll help with the loud banging sounds when you're putting logs in here and it just not sounding like empty, hollow, and cheap sounding. Everything works? And how did you build this house? Yep, they're high level units, so they're right in the house. What level is it? It's a little snug. Let's that word. All right, so there's our base shelf. That's where all the wood's gonna be stacked on, and has a nice overhang on it and everything looks good. And now I'm gonna actually be throwing some screws in down the sides. Now these screws aren't gonna be showing. They're gonna be covered up by the sidewalls. So I'm gonna screw them down on the outer edges, push those boards back as tight as they can so we can close any gaps. Got a little bit of a gap right there, but these will snug up pretty tight. There's 2 boards together right there and it's pretty tight. That one just needs to be pushed back and sewn down, and it'll look good. All right, so the next thing I'm doing is putting in these 1x up the wall. So I'm gonna make this 5 high, and with 5 high from where I have it right now, that should make it literally just like an 1/8 inch shy of what normal countertop height is once I put the actual countertop on it. So I'm gonna be going all the way up the wall here, 5 high, up the sides, up the sides. I am gonna be building the sides out a little bit in order to have like a white face plate going up the sides of this thing. So I'm gonna be building it out. And I'm gonna have to cut around this outlet and then put in an outlet extender in order to bring it out to meet the actual depth of the wall like it should. All right, I'm just gonna be using my trim nailer to put these on, but I'm gonna go ahead and find the studs to make sure I hit a stud when I'm putting these on. That way they're just in there good and I don't have to be too stressed about those ever falling off because it's just in drywall. All right, so what I'm doing here to get cut around the outlet, because this is gonna go right here, that outlet needs to be out of the way. Just tilt it down, figure out where my sides are here. Figure out where the side is here. Excuse me, sir. There are other things happening in this house. And then, basically I know it's about a 1/4 inch up from the bottom, so that'd be my bottom. And then, I can't remember the exact measurement of how big outlets are, but that's about 4 inches. So 4 inches up in there, and we should be golden on where we need to be with this. And then I can just cut that rectangle out with my multi-tool, and then we can keep moving up. All right, so I took this outlet loose here, and I have my cutout, which I'll just make sure that I pull this outlet through, mainly just so that when I put this extender in, that it doesn't, I don't want these wings, these little metal wings here getting stuck behind it, because I need those to be the outside, so when I put the outlet extender on there, that I can actually screw it in like I should. So took that loose, and then now that's on there. And now I can keep running up with my last 3 boards, and then we'll start on the sides here. All right, so I've gotten this wood ran the rest of the way up here. It's looking good. I'm liking how it's looking. And then these 2x4s right here, they're not tacked on. They're just sitting in there. But basically, I'm running those up, and actually, it's not going to be all the way out to the edge of the lip. It's going to be set back because I want that lip to stand out further. But those are going to be for building the wall out. Now, the reason I'm building this wall out is because once this 1.5 inch worth of 2x4 is here, and then another 3/4 of an inch for the 1x that are gonna be running this direction, just like on this wall here, is that'll leave me a full face right here to put like a white 1x3, just like what I have on my fireplace here, right up the front edge of this, and then across the bottom of the countertop. And then it'll have like this, white border that goes around the outside. And then I also plan on putting in a divider with a shelf in here as well, so we'll get to that, but we're building the walls out. We're gonna tack these 2x4s on and then do the same thing, run 1x's up them the same way we did over here. All right, got those on, and I actually got lucky and hit studs, so we are golden. Just because it kind of fell right on 2 foot, so that worked out. So, like I said, those are built out. Now I'm gonna go ahead and put 1x's up the sides the same way I did across the back here. Alrighty, so I got the side walls on that built out wall. Now, I made one mistake that of course I didn't notice until I was putting in that very last top nail. I need something across here. Mainly for the sake that just like down here, it's gonna be 3 separate boards as my countertop up here. So I'm gonna slide a 2x4 in here and hopefully be able to, I'll probably put a screw so I can keep a hold of it while I drop it down in there, and then get it nailed across here, just so that there is something to screw to for this countertop when it goes on here. But once I get that 2x4 ran across the top of there, like in behind here, then it should be ready for a countertop, and we'll start working on that. And then I have this, like I said, this built out edge so that I can put a white faceplate on here as well. All right, got those wedged in there and nailed to this board so that I have something to put my top to. And boy, I dropped this one behind the wall, and that was a pain to get out. And then This one was tight like a toiga, just freaking rough to get in there, but it's done. And it is time to, what's next? Oh, I guess it's time to put the top on, which I'm gonna have to go to the store to get the other 2x10s to do that. So we'll be back in a minute. All right, so actually before I left, I decided to go ahead and throw these on because I already had the 1x for it. So why not go ahead and get that done while I'm here? And these were 1x3s that I ripped a 1/4 inch off of to match the thickness of this. So now that lays nice and flush on each side and it doesn't overhang to where logs are just gonna beat up against this. It's all gonna hit together at the same time. I don't think that it's not gonna get hit by logs some, but gives it a nice finished look. That way, when you step back, you know, it has white across the base, white up the sides, and then it'll have white lip under the countertop. And then I'm gonna put like a maybe a 16, I think it's 17-inch wide shelf here with some of the scrap I've left over from the 1x. So still haven't left to go to the store because I'm still trying to just get as much done as I can before I have to leave to make sure get everything I need. So these are 4 of these 1x laid out that'll go to the front of the face. You can see there's a gap back there. I'll cut a little strip that'll fill in that spot. That's gonna be my shelf, which is gonna be, I don't know, probably 3/4 of the way up or so. And then there's gonna be a divider wall right here. And I'm going to be building this divider wall right now. Now what I did already is I cut 10 more of these 1x to the length of the sidewalls because I'm gonna have my divider the same depth as the sidewalls. So they are all 23¼ depth. And then they'll have a white strip on the front, just like the sidewalls right here in the middle. So I'll show you how I'm putting that together right now. All right, so what I've done here is this is a 1x that is the height of the inside here. And these are going to be what tack all these 1x together. So essentially, what I'm gonna be doing is I'll lay out 5 of these, you know, the stained side down because this is gonna be one side of the wall and then there's gonna be another side of the wall. And then I'm gonna put these as tight together and as even as possible. Lay these out. I'm doing this on the garage floor because it's a nice smooth surface. These will lay nice and flat for me. And once I have all 5 laid out here and everything looks pretty nice and tight, then I'm going to take these thinner strips that are the height of the whole thing, which is 5 of these, smashed together, put it right there in the middle, or right on the outer edge, and then on the outer edge on this side, then do the same exact thing here, and basically make like a sandwich. Pretty much. And all you gotta do is just make sure you line up the bottom piece with the bottom piece and all that good stuff. And you should be good to go. I got so much sawdust in my eye at this point that I can't see crap. Now, before I move on, I'm gonna go ahead and get my bottom one tacked together. Now, I'm using my trim nailer again, and this time, so I've been using, I think like 2.5, 2 3/4 inch finish nails. These are 2-inch finish nails. So this collectively should be like 2 1/4, I believe. Yeah, 2 1/4. So these 2-inch nails should not go all the way through, but it'll be enough to tack all 3 of these together sufficiently. And then we should be good as using this as a wall. Hopefully I didn't just double shoot nails. That would be not fun. All right, now I gotta get these lined up again. Just pick that up. And I'm gonna bring the air back off my gun a little bit because it's driving them a little harder than I like it to. Now let's get it. Perfect. All right, and then I'm just gonna keep doing that all the way up this bad boy. Now this is a divider.
Oh.
All right. And that does it. Now I have my divider wall, and I'll end up putting a white faceplate on this, just like the rest of it, and we should be good to go. And it looks like this might be a little high, so I might trim that off Maybe I just cut these a little too long because it's sitting on the floor. Or I don't know, one way or the other, I gotta flush it up. But basically this will make a good wall. And like I said, I'll put the white faceplate on here. And then I have these black metal L brackets that I'm gonna use to tack this to the floor and the top of the countertop. Alrighty, so went ahead and went to the store finally. And we have the boards cut and stained. They need one more coat, so while that is drying, I'm gonna take care of the rest of this stuff. And as far as the top boards, they're the exact same as the bottom boards. So I cut them down to length. I cut the edges off so they're nice and smooth and butt together nicely. And then they're just gonna be laid on there the same way this was laid on the base. So as far as like this divider here, and yes, I went ahead and got the outlet extender while I was at the store, threw that in there. But basically all I'm gonna do to get it tight is slide it back to where I want it, and then make sure that I hug this shelf in here that I want nice and tight as well, so that everything is where I want it to be, so that those shelves fit in there tightly. And then I'm gonna go ahead and put in those L brackets. Got them. So the L brackets, I got these in matte black because I just felt like it would look nicer in general. But they're just these, you know, I think that might be, I don't know, I think that's 1 inch. I can't even remember. And I'm not gonna trust my own eyes on how much that is. 1.5 inches. So 1.5 inch L brackets is what these are. They're black, matte black. They come with their own screws and they look a little prettier. So I'm gonna, like I said, I've already butted this in tightly against the boards that I'm using for the shelves, so that it is as tight to those shelves as I can get it. And then I'm gonna put these L brackets on this side. And I'm just gonna be putting one towards the front, one towards the back. And then I'm gonna do the same thing at the top. And if it still doesn't feel sturdy enough, I have a whole nother pack of 4 and I'll do the same thing on the other side. But I'm gonna start with just the outside for now. I can't put the top ones on until I get the top boards on anyways. And then that's what I'm gonna be doing from there. Now, as far as the shelf, I'm actually going to be putting boards down the side here for those shelves to sit on, just because it's a bunch of separate planks and I still want it to be sturdy. So these aren't gonna cut it unless I put like, you know, one under each board. And I don't really want to do that. So let's get into mounting this divider. Perfect. All right, so you got your brackets in there. They're nice and sleek looking. Now this is wobbly, obviously. And that's just because the top isn't mounted yet. Once I put the top on there and I screw these same exact things on the top half, they should hold pretty daggone sturdy, and then I'll have this shelf ready to rock. All right, so I got these pizzas cut. I got them cut down to 1.5 inches is what this is. And I have a mark here, and this is what my shelves are gonna be sitting on. So I have a mark here to where about where I want my shelf. And then I'm gonna use this level here just to make sure front to back that I am level. And that my shelves aren't gonna be something that if I ever do set anything here, that it doesn't go rolling on me. And that should be where I want it. I'm gonna go ahead and tack a nail. Oof. I think I'm gonna tack a nail and then level, because that's a little iffy. There we go. And now I can kind of adjust it accordingly. Only got 2 hands. There we go. Oh, there we go. Awesome. All right, we got that in there. Now I can set my shelving in here, and we are ready to rock 100%. And that's it. And then I'll tack this all the way back. That's gonna sturdy this wall up on top of the L bracket that I'm also gonna be putting on the bottom side of the counter. And we're good to go. Sorry, got ahead of myself here and went ahead and shot down these shelves without kind of showing you the install. But it's simple, you know, I put those in there and then I set those boards on top and tacked nails down the edge of them. I don't plan on ever taking these shelves out for any given reason, really. This is meant to be a built-in structure, so that's why I nailed them off. And yeah, and then I put this white strip up the middle. So the full look of everything, if I don't knock down everything in my path, that's how it's looking. And then I'm gonna put the countertop on, and I'm still debating on if I wanna put a white strip across the top or not, right under the lip of the countertop. I haven't decided. I guess I'll decide when I put it on, or when Evan gets home, she can tell me if she wants the white lip on there or not. All right, so this is pretty much what the finished product looks like, minus the white lip across there, which I'm still not sure about. Evan is on her way home now, and I will find out if we're gonna add that or not. I think it looks daggone good how it is though, regardless if we decide to put that lip on it or not. So obviously, here's nail holes on the white stuff and everything. That needs finish work, where I'll have to put some spackling and then match the paint to the paint here. Those actually might be painted because I used old scrap from when we built the house, but that one on the bottom is definitely just a primer board from the store. So gonna have to paint it to match, but otherwise, this thing is pretty much done, squared away. We'll probably store our newspaper up here, kindling down there, and then our main logs right here. And it looks good. All right, guys, hopefully if you like this, you will like and subscribe to the channel, and we'll keep bringing you more stuff like this. Thank you all for watching.